where biracial black people get constantly invalidated in their identity.
No, but actually this needs to be talked about more. As a biracial black woman myself, I am constantly invalidated in my blackness. However, I see biracial black men who get to identify as black and only black all the time. And no one is telling them that they can't identify as black because they're biracial. In a patriarchal, misogynistic society, this is not surprising. However, I really wish people would let biracial black women identify as black if it suits them. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times society chooses our identity for us. For example, when I was younger and most of my friends were white, I was described as the black friend, not the mixed friend. When white men liked me, rarely they would say, "You're the hottest black girl." So if society sees me as black, why can I not identify as biracial black?
A biracial experience, and the biracial experience, I'm sorry, is not black.
This video is annoying for several reasons. For one, to say the biracial black experience, because biracial black people are black people. To say that their experience is not the black experience is to say that the totality of the black experience is oppression and discrimination and lack of privilege. And that's not the entirety of the black experience, right? And not all biracial black people are whitewashed. Some of them grow up in black homes and very much have a black experience.
I'm biracial, right? I had a black mother, white father, but I grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood, right? And if you weren't black in my neighborhood, you were Hispanic, okay? Now I look more like a Hispanic than I look black, obviously, but I didn't relate because I'm looking at my mother, a beautiful brown ebony skinned woman, and I don't look like her. My sisters were a little bit darker than me, and the kids didn't really accept me growing up, right? And I always would try to fit in to being and showing my blackness. Like I was like, I'm black. So when they kind of like ostracized me and made fun of me, then I would try to cling to the Hispanic kids because at least I looked more like them. But then, I don't know their language. I didn't know their music. And so I didn't feel like I fit in there. And so there was loneliness in that where I was like this kid just climbing a tree. I would literally climb the tree and sit on the top of the tree like I don't belong anywhere. And yes, it created an incredible amount of insecurities that even got older, I had a hard time embracing my beauty, embracing that this is what I look like. So when all of a sudden my look became exotic, right? All of a sudden it was like a trend to be dark hair, dark eye, and curvy. And what are you? And more mixed children were being born. Then all of a sudden it was like, but you're beautiful, you're this. And I had a very hard time really equating beauty to what I look like.
So please don't beat me for this, but I have a genuine question. When is it okay for biracial people to talk about their identity struggles?
Amongst other biracial people. It's not to say that we do not face struggles. We do. But it's very niche. It's not that fucking popular. No one actually cares because it does not affect our life the way that it affects if you are fully black. I grew up with a white mom, no black family. She constantly reminded me that when I go out into the real world, people are going to look at me as a black woman, a fully black woman. They're not going to see me as half white. They're not even going to know I'm half white. They're going to see me as fully black, right? So I go out into this real world and realize, no, the fuck they don't. No, the fuck they don't. But I carried that black woman badge of honor with me for until I was 25 because I just didn't understand. I was like, no, I'm facing struggles because I'm a black woman. I was facing struggles because I was a woman of color, but not because people saw me as black. And that's not necessarily a flex. And I know a lot of biracial women say, oh my God, well, darker skinned people treat me different. I wonder why, especially if you have a white mom. We are fucking insufferable when we have white mothers, okay? Because for the longest time, my mom is blonde hair, blue eyes. I looked at how she got treated in the world and said, well, that's my mother. I'm going to be treated that way. So what did I take on? The persona of a fucking Karen for 25 years? Because Delulu or whatever. And I'm telling you, I fought long and fucking hard to be seen as a black woman when it just isn't that way for me. And it's like I wanted life to be harder for some reason. Like I was taking on my mother's white woman struggle Olympics game. Now I've posted a video like this before and people have said, well, you look black to me. Well, duh, because I have half black in me. But there had to be a time to come to the understanding that I don't get treated as a black woman. More so, even from black people, I always get the question, what are you, what are you, what are you? And that used to bother me, but I get it. I mean, I don't get it because I'm me and I know what my dad looks like, and I know what my mom looks like, and to me, them mixed together, makes this face, it makes sense. But besides the point, I never got treated as a black woman. I got treated as an other, like a damn near alien, you know what I mean? And that comes with its own struggles in and of itself. But the struggles that black women face, I can't say that I go through those. I wear wigs 90% of the time when I go out. People don't ask if it's my real hair. No one's ever even dared question if this is my real hair. It's a fucking wig. But because of the way I look is the reason why people don't ask, and I'm aware of that. Most black women don't have the privileges. Most black women who have natural hair this long have to constantly validate that the hair that's growing out of their head is theirs. That's a struggle I don't have to deal with. So when do biracial people get to talk about their struggles?
Though on the record where you say the N-word, a lot of my people was like up my ass about that.
Cause my skin isn't dark enough. When I walk into a room full of white guess what happens? They treat me like an other. Anytime you've been discriminated against, that struggle of being treated different, minority, you and look at all these in Puerto Rico right now with no power after this hurricane happened. Your skin might be darker, my skin might be lighter, but we all black, girl. We all came from the same place. As far as culture goes, there's real and there's fake, and I know who I am.
Those comments were perceived as controversial. You made a reference to your great-grandmother being African. I just wanted to know, what ethnicity do you identify as?
I'm black.
As black?
I am black. I'm absolutely black.
Okay.
I had to respond to this because I'm genuinely curious. Can you unpack that for me? Like, elaborate just a little bit? Like, what situation, what scenario does the black community deny biracial and mixed people's right to be included, but make an exception for the convenience? And I want you to hear me clearly because I feel like this is going to get confused. I'm not asking you to explain when black people have ever denied biracial and mixed black people's right to be included. I'm asking, when have they done that and then turned around and said, never mind, we need them for this? What's the this? Because I typically see this the other way around, where someone who's racially ambiguous, someone who is white passing, someone who is just kind of like on the 50-50, where people can sometimes tell, people can sometimes not, and they'll wear box braids, they'll say the N-word, and only then will they claim their blackness. But in every other situation in life, they don't.
You get the best of both worlds. Chill it out, take it slow.
I think mixed children and biracial children definitely need their own platform to speak upon when it comes to their experiences growing up being biracial and mixed. Granted, I understand everyone's experience is different, and there's probably people who don't even really identify with any of their cultures that they are biologically, genetically connected to. But for me, I love being black and Mexican, okay? And although my childhood was very iffy and I never felt enough from either cultures, I am now in a position where I'm reclaiming all that and some. To all my black Mexicans, you are seen, you are enough. And guess what? Somos primos. We're family up in here. And I am here to remind you that we can change that. And we are.
I'm a mixed kid. Of course, everyone tells me, oh, you're not black enough because your mom's Spanish. I'm a mixed kid. Of course, I don't fit in with my Spanish side or my black side because I'm too black, not enough Spanish.
As a mixed kid who grew up in a predominantly white area, one thing I could not stand was when I talk about issues involving black people, and then white kids in my class would be like, oh, but Tyron, you're not black enough. Like, I fully understand that I do not look very black, and I understand that I don't fit everybody's textbook definition of a black person, but in no way is that going to stop me from talking about the issues that plague the black community because I care about my culture and I care about my heritage deeply.
When I see comments like this, I feel like it reduces us to just our skin color. And for me, a Black Nigerian American, it seems that they want to invalidate my experience, my upbringing, and the contributions that I've made to pushing the culture forward. I don't for 1 second pretend to think that my voice is the voice of all Black people, but I am a Black woman who stands up for Black people. Our issues are equality, right? Our fight for justice. And maybe you can't relate to my complexion, but at least you can respect that, I would think.
So I would literally fake trying to sound ghetto because I was connecting that with Blackness.
So I watched both of her videos, and I just want to start out by acknowledging what she said about not being Black enough for Black people, because that's some real stuff that happens, and it's something we should have been done, left behind us a long time ago. Should nobody have to go through feeling like they ain't enough, because there is so much more to the Black experience than just the words that come out of our mouths or the hobbies that we into. But you see where I got a problem though, right? Because you said that African American English was ghetto and that you connected that with Blackness. Ain't no variation of a language inherently ghetto or proper. And you use that adjective a lot. So I would ask you to unpack why you perceive it to be that way and what led you to that conclusion. Because from a linguistic standpoint, it ain't nothing but consistent. I done made this whole video in African American English. Does it sound ghetto to you? Do I sound ghetto to you?
Complexion does not disqualify you from being African. So when I say Afro-Latino, that's whether you're light skin, brown skin, tan skin, or chocolate. The first color on the Honorable Marcus Garvey's red, black, and green flag is red because it's the blood that makes you an African, the blood. So if a light-skinned, fair-skinned, Spanish-speaking Afro-Latino identifies as African, that's the key. They must identify as African. Being biologically Black is not enough. Clarence Thomas is biologically Black. Jesse Lee Peterson is biologically Black. Candace Owens is biologically Black. Charles Barkley is biologically Black, but are you psychologically Black? Does the light-skinned African Latina sister identify with the rest of us?